Hey guys, Dr. Kopcha here, and I'm going to just do a quick online presentation for our class session this week. Um, and our topic is about not just the four C's, but why should other people benefit from some of the technologies that we're talking about in our class, and how can you maximize the benefit of them, and how can you do that in a way that integrates some of these four C's, which people are very optimistic about. So let's have a look at that today. It shouldn't take too long, maybe 10 minutes. Okay, here we go. I wanted to start with the sensationalizing of educational technology that I see a lot of, like how the iPad will revolutionize education. And this is only a couple of years old. Hard to believe it's only a couple of years old, but that idea that this technology can save everything and do everything and change everything is very pervasive and very much out there. And that vision is very exciting. So exciting, in fact, that when the U.S. Education Secretary Arne Duncan and his colleagues were talking about digital technologies in the classroom, they made this statement that every school child should have a laptop because in the near future, textbooks would be a thing of the past, which, you know, we hear that and we think, yeah, who would argue with that? But if you look at the title of this article, which says who really benefits from putting high-tech gadgets in the classroom, that ought to make you pause and wonder who is really benefiting from that technology. And so I wanted to point out to you that the statement that was made, which was in the last few years, was also made almost 100 years ago by Thomas Edison when he proclaimed, "I believe the motion picture is destined to revolutionize our education system. And in a few years, it will supplant largely, if not entirely, the use of textbooks." So, um, as exciting as the new technologies are, as exciting as the possibilities are, there's this pervasive pattern that occurs in education where we get excited about the next latest greatest technology and we talk about how it would revolutionize something and then it doesn't happen. It just sort of falls through, and that's sort of where I want to begin our discussion today, which is on that element of why do we see this cycle repeat itself over and over again? Why do we get so excited? And how do we, in this class, make sure that our uses of educational technology don't fall prey to the same fate? And so um, that's something to think about, something to ponder. And so I'm going to offer some food for thought that I think will help avoid this. I think it will help avoid putting the cart before the horse. I think that's the problem that we have right now, is that we put the technology cart way before the horse. And that makes us wonder, well, what is the horse? This guy John Hattie wrote a book called Visible Learning, and in it he synthesizes meta-analysis. Now, a meta-analysis is already a synthesis of studies that come together so that you can see how across a variety of studies, a certain concept or topic or idea, whatever it is, you can see whether or not across those studies there's any kind of finding that you want to walk away with and make any kind of conclusion or generalization about. So, for example, technology was one of the things that he looked at to see if technology was related to achievement. So he looked across multiple studies that include educational technology to see what patterns of outcomes were occurring, and so that you can see right down here. I'm asking you, do you have any guesses as to what really matters? Does technology matter, or is it other things that are more important? Well, what John Hattie found was that technology has very little, if not even a negative impact on achievement. What really mattered were some of these elements: clarity in explaining your content, high academic challenge, mastery before moving on, encouraging time on task, facilitating strong group work, timely feedback to students, positive teacher-student relationships. All these things had a bigger impact on achievement than the technology alone. And that's not hard to imagine. I mean, I think if you ask any teacher, how do you make a difference? What makes a difference when you're teaching? It's these things that are making the difference, not the technology. But that's not to say that the technology can't help you do these things. And that's really putting the horse in front of the cart. If you focus on the things that matter and then you figure out how you can use technology to improve the things that matter, then you've got a winning combination. And that's exactly what we're starting to see. I know I've shown a lot of New York Times articles about how technology has sort of failed in a lot of contexts, but that's not to say that the New York Times is biased. They've got a lot of examples of when technology doesn't fail. And if you look at the title of this article, it's about being a shining example of educational technology because this particular school decided not to make it about the technology. They made it about teacher practice and they figured out how the technology played a role in the things that mattered. So I encourage you to look at that article. It's a really good one. Now, before we go too far and you think like, well, yeah, but that's what matters for kids. What if I'm working with adults? I promise you it's not just K-12. When you look at how educational games and other things are being used in society, they're making a difference. So this particular article talks about a game called Fold It, and in 2011, they created this puzzle game about protein folding, and it was unresolved by scientists for 13 years, and in just a couple of weeks, people playing the game found the solution to the problem about how to fold an enzyme that causes an AIDS-like disease in monkeys, right? So that's like power to the people right there. There was another one called Planet Hunters here, where they let people look at the stars, and they have found or discovered more planets and celestial bodies than scientists have found in a much shorter period of time. But it's not just those examples. When you look at what the military does, yes, they're using technology, but it's part of a larger thing that matters. They're doing simulations, they're role playing, they're doing practical exercises where the technology supports the learning but doesn't become the focus of the learning. And so that leaves us with this question. You know, you're working on a project right now, or you should be working on my project now, if not soon. You should be asking yourself, does my project have those elements of what matters? Because those things are really, really important. Am I encouraging high time on task? Am I facilitating strong group work? Am I allowing for a high level of challenge? Am I explaining content clearly? Am I using technology to help do those things? And I think if you do, you're going to find that you really are meeting with a lot of the 4 C's of education. Students will be doing things in a creative way. They'll be communicating and collaborating. They'll be critical thinking. Now, if you're looking for ideas about what to do to support what matters, look no further. I've got some suggestions. Here's one. It's a blog titled The 3 Simple Steps to the 4 C's. And I'm only showing you step 1 here, but there's a lot of really quick, easy to implement activities like problem solving, like clustering, that you can also see how technology would play a role. So if you're going to have students cluster, which is to write an important concept and then create as many personal connections as they can to it, well, that's a concept map. There's lots of online concept mapping tools. There's Inspiration, there's Webspiration, there's a whole bunch of other ones that you can go to and you can support that activity and maybe even make it a cross between critical creative thinking and collaboration. The University of Minnesota has a lot of great active learning strategies that help you fit that. So you want to do good group work, go look at how to do jigsaw teamwork, which is over in the 3rd column of ideas there. Shared brainstorming. Technology can really spur and bring together a brainstorming session in a way that preserves it for future use so that it doesn't just become a distant memory on the whiteboard. Or maybe you do it on the whiteboard, you grab a quick snapshot and you throw that snapshot into a shared document that becomes something more. But the technology isn't the focus, the activity is the focus, and the technology is the thing that really sets it apart. I talked about the Buck Institute, love the Buck Institute, Project-based learning is very often heavily driven by technology as something that helps with achieving what matters. So that's the question I leave you with. If this is what matters, what are you doing that matters? And how are you working that into the project that you're doing for me right now and the work that you're doing in the classroom right now? Okay? I'm going to leave you to think about that. Enjoy the presentation, and I will talk to you soon. This is Dr. Kopcha, and I hope you have enjoyed this presentation.